Unit 1 Foundations of HCI. The second topic is the human memory. So, in human memory, there are three types: sensory memory, short term memory, and long term memory. So, first is what is human memory? Our memory contains our knowledge of actions or procedures. It allows us to repeat actions, to use language, and to use new information received via our senses. It also gives us our sense of identity by preserving information from our past experiences. Memory is the second part of our model of the human as an information processing system. Memory is associated with each level of processing. Bearing this in mind, we will consider the way in which memory is structured and the activities that take place within the system. It is generally agreed that there are three types of memory or memory function: sensory buffers, short term memory or working memory, and long term memory. There is some disagreement as to whether these are three separate systems or different functions of the same system. It is sufficient to note three separate types of memory. These memories interact with information being processed and pass between memory stores. This is the model of the structure of memory. So, first the sensory memory, which contains iconic, echoic, haptic. So it gives the attention to short term memory or working memory, and which gives the rehearsal to long term memory. First, நம்ம பார்க்க போகிறது sensory memory. The sensory memories act as buffers for stimuli received through the senses. A sensory memory exists for each sensory channel: iconic memory for visual stimuli, echoic memory for oral stimuli, haptic memory for touch. These memories are constantly overwritten by new information coming on in these channels. The existence of echoic memory is evidenced by our ability to ascertain the direction from which a sound originates. This is due to information being received by both ears. Since this information is received at different times, we must store the stimulus in the meantime. Echoic memory allows brief playback of information. Information is passed from sensory memory into short term memory by attention, thereby filtering the stimuli to only those which are of interest at a given time. Attention is the concentration of the mind on one out of a number of competing stimuli or thoughts. It is clear that we were able to focus our attention selectively, choosing to attend to one thing rather than other. This is due to the limited capacity of our sensory and mental processes. So the second type of memory is short-term memory. Short-term memory or working memory acts as a scratch pad for temporary recall of information. It is used to store information which is only required fleetingly. Short-term memory can be accessed rapidly in the order of 70 milliseconds. It also decays rapidly, meaning that information can only be held there temporarily in the order of 200 milliseconds. Short-term memory also has a limited capacity. There are two basic methods for measuring memory capacity. The first involves determining the length of a sequence which can be remembered in order. The second allows items to be freely recalled in any order. So this is the model of short-term memory. Next is long-term memory. If short-term memory is our working memory or scratch pad, long-term memory is our main resource. Here we store factual information, experiential knowledge, procedural rules or behavior, in fact everything that we know. நம்மளுக்கு என்னென்னலாம் தெரிஞ்சிருக்குதோ, நம்ம என்னென்ன இன்ஃபர்மேஷன் இதுவரை பார்த்துருக்கோமோ கேட்டிருக்கிறோமோ எல்லாத்தையுமே நம்ம லாங் டேர்ம் மெமரியில் தான் ஸ்டோர் பண்ணி வைக்கிறோம். It differs from short-term memory in a number of significant ways. First, it has a huge, if not unlimited capacity. Secondly, it has a relatively slow access time of approximately a tenth of a second. Thirdly, forgetting occurs more slowly in long-term memory, if at all. Long-term memory is intended for the long-term storage of information. Information is placed there from working memory through rehearsal. Unlike working memory, there is little decay. Long-term recall after minutes is the same as that after hours or days. There are two types of long-term memory. One is episodic memory, another one is semantic memory. So episodic memory na enna, it represents our memory of events and experiences in a serial form. It is from this memory that we can reconstruct the actual events that took place at a given point in our lives. Semantic memory. It is a structured record of facts, concepts, and skills that we have occurred. The information in semantic memory is derived from that in our episodic memory. So this is a long-term memory may store information in a semantic network. So informations வந்து long-term memoryல இந்த மாதிரி network-ஆ store ஆயிருக்கும். This process can be optimized in a number of ways. So there is a scientist, Epigaius, who performed numerous experiments on memory using himself as a subject. In these experiments, he tested his ability to learn and repeat nonsense syllables, comparing his recall minutes, hours, and days after the learning process. He discovered that the amount of learned was directly proportional to the amount of time spent learning. This is known as the total time hypothesis. Another scientist, Badley, and others suggest that learning time is most effective if it is distributed over time. There are two main theories of forgetting. One is decay, another one is interference. The first theory suggests, that is decay suggests, that the information held in long-term memory may eventually be forgotten. A scientist concluded from his experiments with nonsense syllables that information in memory decayed logarithmically, that is, that it was lost rapidly to begin with and then more slowly. Another law, that is Joest's law, which follows from this, states that if two memory traces are equally strong at a given time, the older one will be more durable. The second theory, that is interference, it states that information is lost from memory through interference. If we occur new information, it causes the loss of old information. This is termed as retroactive interference. For example, if you change telephone numbers, learning your new number makes it more difficult to remember your old number. This is because the new association masks the old. However, sometimes the old memory trace breaks through and interferes with new information. This is called as proactive inhibition. Forgetting is also affected by emotional factors. In experiments, subjects given emotive words and non-emotive words found the former harder to remember in the short term but easier in the long term. First, proactive inhibition demonstrates the recovery of old information even after it has been lost by interference. Secondly, there is the tip of the tongue experience, which indicates that some information is present but cannot be satisfactorily accessed. Thirdly, information may not be recalled but may be recognized or may be recalled only by prompting. This leads us to the third process of memory, which is called as information retrieval. Here we need to distinguish between two types of information retrieval. One is recall, another one is recognition. So in recall, the information is reproduced from memory. In recognition, the presentation of the information provides the knowledge that information has seen before. Recognition is the less complex cognitive activity since the information is provided as a cue. If you have any doubts, leave your doubts in the comment section. Thank you.